Hello, everyone. And this is our little initiative to bring to you the relationship between community and schooling. And here with me today, I have Dr. Beverley Freedman, who is a retired school superintendent, and she's also worked with the ex ministry. And I had the privilege to get to know her through a mentorship program at OAZ. And Bev, if you would like to introduce yourself and add in a line or two, please feel free to do that.
Okay, thank you. And it is my previous experience with the Durham District School Board, 75,000 kids in 125 schools, and as an executive officer at the Ministry of Education, that I began to understand the necessity of building engagement with communities in terms of support for lifelong learning.
Thank you so much, Bev. So we'll dive into some of the questions that I have for today. The first question would be, what is the role of community in formal education?
Well, I think what we need to do is explain community and community engagement. So schools are situated in communities, and each community has their own context. And for a long time, what we did was inform communities, but they were not working partners. And so we've learned from the medical profession, who defined community engagement as the process of working collaboratively with groups of people who are affiliated by geographic proximity, special interest, or special situations. And so it is from health and how we've learned about health that we now have been able to do evidence-based practices in community engagement.
Thank you so much for that. So my next question would be, what is the difference? I mean, right now you just spoke about engaging a community, right? So what would be the primary difference between involving and engaging a community?
So there is, again, as we've learned from research, a continuum. Traditionally, we did outreach. So we posted information. We let members of the community know they may have been invited into schools or into school systems, but truthfully, they were not involved in the decision-making process. From there, we moved to consultation, but on things that generally we had decided the direction and we were refining it based on their ideas. Then we began more targeted outreach where we reached out to formal and informal leaders in the community and got them involved in consultation process. But to truthfully engage and collaborate, we need a lot more voices and chairs at the table. And so it means that people have to be part of the process from the beginning in terms of setting out strategic plans and being actively involved in decision-making on areas that impact them as members of a community and their children in terms of that education process.
I definitely agree with that. But that brings me to the next question, because when you say, I mean, communities involve a lot of sentiments. Each community comes with a different plethora of sentiments, right? So what should we consider prior to reaching out to a community? Where should we draw the line?
So the first thing is you absolutely have to know the situational context. Because as you said, not only are communities different, but within each larger geographical proximity area, there are many different types of community. And so we have to know the socio-demographics, the power structures, the norms, the history and previous experience. I'm working now with First Nation communities with the multi-generational legacy of trauma of the residential school system. And in order to build back trust in formal education, the strategies of engagement are very different than there might be in a middle-class community in suburban GTA. So you must understand the communities, what their strengths are, what they bring to the table, and what their needs and concerns are.
Definitely. I think that's a great way to go forward. And to wrap this up, I would say my last question would be, what are the next steps to consider?
So one of the things is capacity building for learning leaders, whether they be system leaders or situated in schools. This doesn't come naturally. So there are strategies we can learn from the business community, the health community, to do this more effectively. And so this is tools in toolbox. And there's capacity building for communities. So when you bring in communities to a meeting to get their input, there's a variety of different ways you can go about approaching it. What will be the best, and how do you inform the community so that when they come to this, they understand what's expected and how to participate. And so we really begin to understand their voices, their aspirations, and their fears, so that whatever we structure, because community engagement means shared accountability. And so that's a whole different type of process. But the bottom line is and remains improving learning.
Love that. So just to finally wrap it up, I have one last question, if that's okay. What is the one constraint that we should be prepared for before we start this initiative?
So there are two things. One, if you're going to engage with communities, shut up. Actively listen. This isn't about you, this is about them. The second thing is to understand this is not a clear pathway. There's meanders, there's turns, there's going to be challenges and obstacles. And so you have to be flexible, you have to be responsive, and you have to be respectful. And understand that there are going to be challenges along the way. But again, if we all commit to improving learning, eventually we will get to our goal.
Thank you so much, Bev. Thank you so much for your time. And I really hope that this little piece of information reaches to a larger audience. And Bev also has some resources that she sent in about community learning, which I'm going to attach with this video.
And so I'd like to thank you and the audience for joining. And we hope that this is a learning experience for all of us.
Thank you so much, Bev.